Most disturbing moments ever captured on TV. Oh, we starting out with a disclaimer too.
Hundreds of thousands of Shock Channel 4 news viewers watched on television on the 4 o'clock news. San Diego looked like a war zone. We'll show you the incredible rampage by a hijacked tank.
This literally looked like some junk I would do on GTA. There's no way this happened on live TV. What?
And then gradually, I thought, well, he's not moving, and well, there must be something wrong. And my wife said, oh, there can't be anything wrong because they would have cut it out. And I said, no, it's live.
We are getting reports that your son has been found alive in your basement.
What?
You don't turn on.
What? What was that corn at then? What the hell?
In your basement.
What?
What?
You don't
You opened the pizza box that I was holding weirdly close to my crotch and you saw my what? Like, bro, what type of adding is that?
turn on the TV expecting to see something
hell?
awful. But when it happens, you remember it for the rest of your life. These are the
Facts.
most
Come
disturbing
on.
moments that aired on TV. We'll begin with the lighter stuff and work our way to the worst of the worst.
Okay.
So we'll go the flying priest. In April 2008, Brazilians saw something insane on TV. A Catholic priest floated into the sky. But
What?
it wasn't magic. The priest tied 1,000 helium balloons to a chair. Then he strapped himself in. That's how he
Okay, that's low-key some cold shit though. Like, I'm gonna be honest, whatever that boy reason was is probably dumb as hell, but I will admit, we gotta admit, we all want to do something like that, bro. After we seen up, I always just wanted to like float in the air. Not in a chair, more like attach like a shit ton of balloons to my house and just float, gang.
got off the ground. TV cameras caught the whole thing.
In a chair
At
is
first it looked
crazy.
beautiful,
I'd be
but what
mad as-
happened
I'd be
next
scared
made it
as
one of the
hell.
most disturbing things ever shown on live TV. So let's start with the biggest question. Why was a priest trying to fly in the first place?
Who don't
The
wanna
priest's
fly?
name was Father Adelir
That's the real
Antonio
question.
Carli, and he had a reputation as a troublemaker. But it wasn't because he caused harm. He was considered a troublemaker because he was determined to help people no matter what it took. Father Carli fought to protect human rights.
Okay.
He argued with city officials. He led protests. He didn't care about danger as long as he was helping someone.
that's a good
Then,
guy.
around 2007, he got another idea to help people. It might have been the riskiest idea he ever had. Hundreds of truck drivers passed through Father Carli's town, and he loved preaching to these truckers. So he started building a roadside chapel meant to provide spiritual assistance to truckers.
Oh,
It was
that's
a place
nice.
where truck drivers could park, rest, and hear about God. But building this church would cost a lot of money. So he came up with a plan to get donations. He would break a world record. Father Carli planned to fly for 19 hours using balloons. That would break the record for cluster ballooning, or the longest time flying with helium balloons.
God damn. 19 hours, that's a long ass time. I'm gonna keep it a buck. This is where the disconnect is. This all you could have thought of? There was nothing else? Like, you could have went on TikTok live and did the little NPC method, bro.
If it succeeded, he would get attention, and that attention would bring donations. It sounded like a straightforward
Balls
plan,
of
but things
steel. I
started
respect
going
it, though.
wrong well before
So I'm like, is that a
liftoff.
clown
The
house?
first
That'd be
problem
fired up.
happened when Father Carli signed up for paragliding lessons. He ended up getting kicked out because he disobeyed his trainer. The school called Father Carli an inexperienced and undisciplined student.
Oh, yeah. See right there. As soon as they kicked me out of that paragliding class and I didn't know how to paraglide, mud, the whole thing canceled. Cause me, bro, I'm a cautious ass boy. I'm a cautious ass dude. I'm not gonna lie. In my mind, as soon as something like that happened, I'm wondering, this bitch Pop, how the hell I'm gonna go get down?
Kicked out, messed up his training,
Hell
but
no.
it didn't stop him. That brings us to April 2008,
Oh, no,
the
I
day
didn't.
of the balloon flight.
This is Reverend Adelir Antonio de Carli, just moments before he set out on an ambitious journey to fly 465 miles using small
Jesus
helium-filled
Christ,
party
that's like
balloons.
half of
It was
America.
raining, but he refused to cancel the flight.
Isn't it stubbornness flying in this rain?
There will only be good weather during my flight.
Brazilian
What?
TV showed the priest float
You know what I'm saying? All due respect to people that are very deep in touch with their religions, but at the same time, bro, nigga, you can't argue with facts. Motherfucker, it's raining. Who are you feeling like? Bro, it's like the same shit when dudes be fat as hell, bro. Can't even move out their seat without assistance and be talking about, well, God gonna get me right, bro. I'm gonna lose all this weight. Just God gonna do his thing, bro. Bitch, you gotta put the work in to lose the weight. Cause look, now, with all due respect, you just look like crazy. You look crazy. They literally told you it was gonna rain and you still went out anyways, bro. That shit, that's sad.
Into the sky, and then everything went wrong. Father Carly wanted to fly toward the city of Dorados, but nature had other plans. Strong winds pushed him in the wrong direction over the open ocean. He rose to 19,000 feet. That's twice as high as he expected. He suddenly descended to about 8,200 feet. It was like a roller coaster ride. Father Carly sent a message to his team
he's on a chair the whole time, bro, feeling all of that.
He told his crew by satellite phone that he would not be able to complete the planned flight and that he was beginning to descend over the ocean.
A few hours later, he sent another message. He told them, I need to contact someone who can teach me how to operate this GPS so I can give the latitude and longitude coordinates, which is the only way that people on the ground can know where I am. Unfortunately, nobody was able to explain it properly, and he was drifting over nothing but the ocean. That was the last time they heard from him. Rescue teams launched immediately. The Brazilian Navy and Air Force sent helicopters, planes, and boats. His church prayed for a miracle. TV reporters gave updates.
Fire department officials say they're focusing their search on the southern coast of Brazil. Winds apparently had pushed DeCarli about 31 miles off the coast.
No way he passed away though, right? Like, I know it do say most disturbing moments, but like Visual Ventures gang, you said you gonna start it off light and you gonna work your way up. There's no way, right? I don't hope he didn't pass away. If he passed away, I'm gonna feel bad for talking that crazy, bro.
2 days after he disappeared, search teams saw a bunch of balloons in the ocean, but there was no sign of Father Carly. People hoped he was floating somewhere waiting to be rescued, but days passed,
for 2 days,
weeks, there was still no sign of him. 3 months later, a tugboat worker saw a body in the water. It was off the coast of southeastern Brazil. DNA tests confirmed that it was Father Carly.
Oh my
Father Carly floated into the sky on TV, but passed away alone in the ocean. Some called him brave, others called him reckless, but everyone agreed that when
he brave, reckless, all that, bro. At least I can say he died doing what he loved, bro. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. My bad for talking a little bit too crazy on him, because I'm not gonna lie, bro. I didn't think he was gonna pass away. I didn't think they was gonna start a video off like that, bro.
It was for a good cause. There are millions of interviews on TV, but this next one became evidence in a criminal case.
Talk to me.
The man who played with fire. In 2014, firefighters in Maryland were putting out a house fire, but the flames were out of control. It got so bad that more than 70 firefighters showed.
70 firefighters for one house fire? God damn.
Up to prevent it from spreading.
And the fire was really fierce. Take a look at the siding of this home, just burnt to a crisp.
One thing was obvious. This fire was no accident. Firefighters believed that someone intentionally started the fire, but they had no clue who did it. It seemed like the case would take weeks to solve, and then something happened. In the middle of the chaos, a man walked up to a news crew and said this.
Me, I set it on fire.
And he wasn't kidding. Just like that, this went from a serious fire to a crazy confession caught on camera. And everyone watching probably had the same question.
He gotta be like schizo, right?
The man called himself Carlos. He actually lived in that house. Even worse,
He set his own house on fire. Like, bitch, what do you gain from it, bro?
Roommates were home at the time of the fire. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but he didn't seem ashamed. In fact, he looked proud. When reporters asked how he did it, Carlos gave them a full play-by-play.
I just poured gasoline on the floor.
Jeez.
Set it on fire and went to buy a drink and came back.
But the real question wasn't how, it was why.
When asked why, Carlos repeatedly claimed he wanted police and the media to know about what he called deplorable living conditions inside this home.
Carlos.
What? Deplorable living conditions inside your own home that you live in. So you burnt your own home down to send a message about the way that you keep your house. What, bitch? It's like, yo, I be telling you, some people just be living in an entirely different world, bro. His ass doing mental hula hoops, bro.
Said he told the police about the awful conditions, but they ignored him. So his next best idea was to burn the whole place down. As crazy as all this sounds, Carlos had one last surprise up his sleeve. After confessing to the reporters, Carlos walked over to the police officers at the scene and he confessed again.
I set it on fire.
Officers arrested him on the spot. He was charged with reckless endangerment and arson. Police later said his on-camera confession was a crucial piece of evidence. Nobody could understand why Carlos admitted to his crime on live TV, but his family had an explanation. They said Carlos was struggling with mental issues and alcoholism. It's unclear what happened to Carlos after the arrest, but one thing's certain, the fire caused $400,000 in damage.
From one
this
house?
next chapter is also about a crime, but this one was broadcast live. The Berlin poker heist. The European Poker Tour is the largest poker tournament in the world. Thousands of gamblers show up to compete, and the winner walks away with life-changing money. In 2010, the grand prize was $1.36 million. Organizers booked a luxury hotel for the German leg of the event. It was streamed live online and on select TV channels. On March 6th, players showed up for another day of poker, but that day was going to be special for all the wrong reasons. At exactly 2:15 p.m., the tournament descended into chaos.
With the tournament's own TV camera rolling, the action unexpectedly moved off the table when four masked men shouted robbery and stormed the Berlin hotel ballroom.
The robbers wore masks and carried different types of weapons, including a machete.
What did you think was gonna happen though? I'm confused. What are they here to get, bro? Like, do they think the $1 million is just like a fat ass pile of cash in the middle room that they can just stuff into a duffel bags on some GTA shit? It don't work that way. It don't work that way, bro. And then on live TV with at least 200 different people in the room. Yo, these niggas be real, bro.
Screamed and hid under the tables. But the intruders weren't there to rob the players. Their sights were set on one thing: the bags of cash at the registration desk. They snatched money and made for the exit. Then things got messier. A security guard tried to stop them. It was like a clumsy game of tag. But in the end...
Bro, alright, I ain't gonna lie. If you're a security guard and you trying to stop an armed robbery, it's just, y'all gotta realize, bro. Someone that has hella friends in security and they work in that sector, like securing warehouses, securing buildings at night, bro, that's not your job, bro. It's not your job. If you getting robbed, you do not have no obligation to stop that shit from being robbed, man. If they point a gun at you and turn around, you do not have the obligation to pull out your gun and then shoot their ass. That's just not how it works. And I don't know what job you think is worth dying over, because I promise you I'm not about to die over no $20 an hour. Hell no.
And all four robbers managed to escape. They made away with about $250,000. And they did it in front of the cameras, broadcast around the world. But the live robbery wasn't the dumbest thing they did, because these guys made mistakes at every stage, before, during, and after the robbery. It turns out one of the robbers played in the tournament before the robbery. He signed up so he could get in, scout the building, and study the security. Even with all that prep, it didn't take long for police to identify them. They probably realized the cops were closing in, because less than a week later, one of the robbers turned himself in. And then he snitched on the rest of his gang. It only took 2 weeks for all four to be arrested. In 2011, they were sentenced to between 3 to 6 years in prison, but the money they stole was never found. Up next is a case of...
They got sentenced to 6 years, stealing $250,000. Hold, let me do the math right quick. That's $250,000 divided by 4. So $62,000 for 6 years. That's about $10,000 a year, bro. You literally, I'm about to say it could have been worth it, but hell nah. Again, you literally could have got a job at McDonald's and made the same amount of money. Like, what are we talking about?
Desperation and revenge. The man with nothing to lose. In 1995, Sean Nelson's life was a mess in every sense of the word. He was only 35, but he had been kicked out of the army for disciplinary issues. Then his wife left him. His business collapsed. His house was being foreclosed upon, and he started taking substances.
Oh my goodness, his life suck ass. Oh my gosh. This is just living proof that y'all should be grateful for the living conditions that you in, man. It could always be so much worse.
Sean was broken and bitter, and when he finally snapped, it became breaking news on TV. On May 17th, 1995, Sean snuck into the National Guard Armory in San Diego, and he went straight to where they kept the tanks. He climbed into an M60 A3 tank and got it running. Remember, Sean served in the military, so he knew his way around the tank. By the time someone at the armory tried to stop him, it was too late. Sean was already rolling that tank into the city of San Diego.
How do you even start someone with a tank?
At 30 miles per hour, destroying everything in its path.
There was no ammunition in the tank.
but Nelson left a trail of crushed cars, broken utility
poles. Damn! Bro, do you know how pissed I would be if I went inside the store to get some goddamn candy bar? I come back out and my car look like this. Yo, everything I love, I'm crashing out just like you doing. Hell no.
Broken utility poles.
Bro, that's crazy.
He knocked out power to over 5,000 people. And at one point, he tried to collapse a bridge by ramming its supports. Police followed in cars and helicopters.
How did we even stop him, though?
Following didn't stop him. TV stations interrupted regular programs to air the chase live.
I guess you just gotta wait till he's out of gas or something, bro. Because, like, there's no way.
After 25 minutes of chaos, Sean drove the tank into State Route 163.
What?
And the tank got stuck. The police saw their chance. Officers climbed into the tank. They used bolt cutters to break through the hatch. Then they ordered Sean to surrender and get out of the tank. He refused, and because they didn't know if he was armed and dangerous, they fired. Sean didn't make it. The next day, that San Diego street looked like a war zone. He flattened at least 40 cars. The damage ran into hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A man who reportedly
no, that's only hundreds of thousands. That's got to be at least like 10 million.
An army tank last evening and took it on a wild ride through.
By some miracle, no one else lost their life. What happened to Sean was a tragedy. He was struggling with mental health problems, and in the end, he just couldn't hold on. This next case is about a family whose darkest secret was exposed on live TV.
Talk to me.
The secret in the basement.
Whoa.
Charlie Bothell went missing on June 14th, 2014, and his entire neighborhood started searching for him.
Take a close look at Charlie. Missing.
This is my son, Charlie.
His friends knock on door after door.
Charlie was only 12. Naturally, his parents were panicking. At least that's what it looked like. His father, Charles, called the police, and a nationwide search began. Flyers were posted all over Detroit. Investigators swept through the house. Even cadaver dogs were brought to sniff through the home and the neighborhood, but they found nothing. 11 days passed.
In the home, they found nothing? Wait, so was he in the basement, or was he in like some crazy carved out shit? Like the nigga in his own basement.
There was still no sign of Charlie, but his dad didn't give up. He went on TV pleading for help. Then, during a live interview on Nancy Grace,
yo, shout out Nancy Grace.
The father of the missing boy, Charlie, with me is his father, Charlie Bothell.
Charles was explaining his son's disappearance when Grace interrupted him.
We are getting reports that your son has been found in your basement.
Charles was shocked, or at least he looked shocked. For several seconds, he was speechless. His reaction went viral. Millions of people didn't get it. How do you miss your own child in your own basement? Charles insisted that there was nothing shady going on.
For anybody to imply that I somehow knew that my son was in the basement, it's absurd and it's wrong.
He even offered to take a lie detector test on
Wait, is the son alive though? If he was in the basement, wouldn't he be making noise like when the cops came?
Still, something didn't add up, and the truth was more disturbing than anyone expected. Police found Charlie in the basement, hiding behind a pile of boxes. When they heard a story, they decided to keep him away from his dad and stepmom. Charlie said his stepmom ordered him to go to the basement and not come out no matter what he hears. And right after that, she made a call.
He then says she called his dad and said that she didn't know where Charlie was and couldn't find him.
It sounded like the stepmom faked the whole thing, but Charlie said his dad wasn't innocent either. He gave many examples of how his dad treated him badly. Charles and his wife were immediately arrested.
Man, that's nobody mind control, something else.
About his dad treated him badly. Charles and his
That's Snow Bunny mind control, something else, bro. I be trying to tell y'all. Right, wait, hold on. This might not be Snow Bunny mind control. This might be the evil light skin archetype.
Wife were immediately arrested. Then came the trial, and the kid testified.
Second time now, a brave young man took the stand to testify against his own father and stepmother.
Convicted, the parents faced life in jail. But in 2016, the dad accepted a plea deal. He avoided prison, got probation, and lost custody of his son. The stepmom took a deal too. More importantly, Charlie was safe. He went to live with other...
I'm gonna keep it a beam. We gotta stop handing out plea deals like just to any old person, bro. There's not a single reason any of them two to be walking out in public, breathing the same air as I breathe. There's just no way. With all due respect, there's no way. I can maybe see an argument for the dad. Can't see it for the mother, bro. She's literally the cause of this. Now, the dad not innocent at all, bro. He's not innocent at all. I'm just saying I can maybe see an argument for him. I think he should get like at least 20, 30 years in prison, bro. We got to make society better instead of polluting it.
Relative.
If you know people are evil, why are you letting them out?
This next TV moment gives us a glimpse into the mind of a killer. The suspicious interview. Lauren Giddings was weeks away from becoming a lawyer. Then she disappeared. Local news showed up to cover the mystery, but they accidentally filmed one of the most disturbing moments ever caught on TV. In June 2011, no one could reach Lauren. She wasn't even answering her phone, so her friends went to her apartment in Georgia to check on her.
Oh, I know this one.
Things only got weirder. Lauren's door was locked. They knocked and knocked.
Chat, this happened in my city, bro. It shook the entire city.
But no one answered. That's when Stephen McDaniel appeared. Stephen was the awkward guy next door.
This evil ass motherfucker, bro. I know this story like the back of my head. I think I seen this on, I literally remember seeing this on the news, bro. I was like 8 years old. I ain't gonna spoil it, but it's crazy as hell what he does,
Mostly kept to himself. But now he was suddenly very involved. Stephen stood outside with Lauren's friends, asking questions, looking worried. It felt a little strange.
Who is it?
I thought much of it. Later that day, Lauren was officially reported missing. Police launched a search of the area. That's when Stephen's behavior got even more suspicious. Lauren lived in an apartment complex. All the neighbors agreed to let police search their places. All the neighbors except Stephen. Stephen claimed he was just always protective of his space. But the search for Lauren didn't last long. A few hours later, police found her. She was in this trash bin right outside the building, lifeless.
Yo, it wasn't a trash bin. Like, this was like an industrial like trash bin, though. I ain't gonna lie. He had literally like cut her up into like little sushi slices. Some sicko type time. And if you watch his entire interview, you can tell how sick this motherfucker really is, dude.
It meant there was a killer on the loose. Reporters rushed to the scene. They started talking to neighbors, trying to get the full story. One of those interviewed was Stephen McDaniel, the awkward neighbor, the same guy who refused to let the police search his apartment.
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday.
Bro. No soul.
Gave the reporter his own theory.
The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her.
Based on his comments, Stephen didn't know the cops already found Lauren, so the reporters decided to tell him.
The parking lot area, I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Stephen's face dropped. His reaction looked like shock or maybe even fear.
Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Soon that reaction would go viral online. After what happened to Lauren, police started questioning everyone around her. Since Stephen lived next door, he was brought in right away. But his attitude made it obvious he was hiding something. No matter what detectives asked, Stephen gave it short, evasive answers. Sometimes he just stared at the wall. Then the real evidence started coming in. Police got a search warrant for Stephen's apartment. One of the first things they found was a master key to the apartment complex. Turns out Stephen stole that master key, and on the night Lauren disappeared, he used it to sneak into her apartment.
Wait, there's no way shit like that actually exists. Nigga, you can get into any door in the apartment complex? Hell no.
Police also found photos of the victim and a hacksaw covered in her DNA.
If they knew it was missing, bro, because there should only be like maybe 3 of those for any apartment complex at any time. Gotta instantly change all the locks, bro.
Then Stephen's old roommate came forward. What he told police made Stephen look more guilty. He said that when they lived together, Stephen used to talk about what would be the perfect murder and how to cover it up. Detectives also uncovered a possible motive. When she was alive, Lauren told her friends that Stephen asked her out for a date, but she turned him down because he made her feel uneasy.
Damn, at this point, you could handle rejection?
Stephen was arrested, but when the news broke, everyone kept going back to the same video.
Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Suddenly, it wasn't just a news interview. It was a criminal pretending to be innocent on live TV. In August 2011, Stephen McDaniel was officially charged with murder. For years, he refused to confess, but the evidence kept piling up. If he went to trial and lost, he could be sentenced to death. So in 2014, he finally gave in.
He accepted the plea deal this morning. Well, he'll serve life in prison with the opportunity for parole again in 2041.
Stephen is still...
Yo, 2041 don't even sound real, but it's right around the corner.
In prison today, but his TV appearance remains one of the most haunting interviews ever broadcast. This next case wasn't just a moment, it was a hostage situation. Crisis at KNBC. In August 1987, viewers tuned into KNBC's afternoon news. They had no idea they were about to witness a crime. A reporter, David Horowitz, was midway through his segment. Suddenly, a strange man stepped out of the shadows.
He had been sitting quietly until David Horowitz was ready to begin broadcasting his consumer segment.
The
no one knew who the hell that was?
34-year-old Gary Stolman, and he had a weapon. Gary stood right behind David Horowitz.
Because, you know, one of the nicest things about shopping by mail order... Pardon me? What is this?
Oh.
He handed a note to Horowitz and ordered him to read.
Folks, we have someone on the set who's standing here and would like me to read this copy.
Thousands were watching the broadcast live. And it was obvious this was a real hostage situation.
His ass
read or face consequences. The note was full of wild conspiracy theories, stuff about the CIA replacing people with clones and aliens living among us. It sounded crazy, but the broadcast continued, and the weapon
way ahead of his time.
Horowitz's back.
I was warned in 1981 by someone with connections at the CIA to stay off the computers, that they didn't trust people on computers.
Behind the scenes, producers were panicking. They decided to cut the feed. After 28 seconds of the live hostage situation, they went to the commercials. But the hostage taker didn't realize the broadcast had been cut. Horowitz kept reading, word for word. It took about 7 minutes to finish.
But when the statement had been read, the gunman placed the gun on the desk and anchorman John Beard grabbed it.
Police rushed in.
So his ass really did all that for nothing just to get cut off. Yo!
Moments later, Gary didn't resist. He let them arrest him without a struggle. That's when they realized it wasn't even a real weapon. It was a toy. But the surprises didn't end there. Everyone wanted to know who the intruder was and why he did it. Turns out he was mentally ill. After Gary's arrest, his father released a statement.
I do have a sick son. He has been hospitalized a number of times. I am thankful he wasn't.
Yeah, why do they always talk like that, bro?
The court gave him a plea deal. He was put on 3-year probation and sent to a mental facility. This next TV moment started with laughter and ended in tears. The final show. On April 15th, 1984, 12 million people sat down to watch Live from Her Majesty's. It was a Sunday Night Live variety show in the UK. The audience expected jokes, music, and laughter. But that night, the show ended with death. The headliner that night was Tommy Cooper. Tommy was one of the most famous comedians in the UK. Tommy's whole act was built around failure. He acted like a buffoon, doing magic tricks that always went wrong.
I should have produced empty cloth for live ducks.
Yeah, the way UK people still shocks me, yo.
In the 1970s, Tommy was a superstar in the UK, but off stage, his life was far from great. For starters, he smoked constantly. Some reports say he went through 40 cigars a day.
40? God damn! Who the hell be around these celebrities, like, and just be letting them do all of this crazy ass stunt? They gotta be surrounding themselves with like yes men, right? There's no way, yo, a normal person or a normal loved one would see your ass smoke fucking 8 cigars in one sitting and be like, oh, man, this is all normal, man. Like, he good, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
That wasn't his only vice. Tommy also drank constantly. He said drinking helped him overcome his stage fright, but that coping mechanism became a full-blown addiction. Tommy was usually intoxicated while performing on stage. One time he did a magic trick involving a guillotine, which was extremely dangerous. But Tommy was tipsy that night, so he forgot to put the safety catch on. If the floor manager hadn't jumped in at the last minute, someone on stage could have been seriously hurt. People around Tommy were concerned about his addictions, but as long as he kept the audience laughing, shows kept booking him.
And he said, I didn't do it. And he said, if I knew who did, I wouldn't tell it.
So on that Sunday night, Tommy walked out for the show Live from Her Majesty's. Tommy did his usual routine. He dropped cards, made jokes, and acted clumsily. The crowd was loving it. Then he moved on to his next bit. He asked his assistant for his cloak. He was going to magically pull stuff out of it. Immediately after the cloak was put on him, he uttered, "Thank you," before collapsing to the ground. At first, everyone laughed. They thought it was part of the act. Then the laughter faded, and Tommy didn't get back up.
And then gradually, I thought, well, he's not moving, and I thought, well, there must be something wrong. And my wife said, oh, there can't be anything wrong because they would have cut it out. And I said, no, it's live.
Backstage, the crew knew something was wrong. The director cut to a commercial break, and Tommy was carried off stage. They took him to the hospital as fast as they could, but it was too late. Doctors confirmed it was a heart attack. Tommy Cooper passed away that night. He was 63.
Yo, that's sad as
people
hell,
realized
bro.
the awful truth. They clapped and laughed at a man while he was passing away. Tommy Cooper's hometown built him a statue in his honor.
Yo, this is before everybody was like desensitized to violence on the internet, bro. That probably stuck with them to this day. Like nowadays, you can just look at a video like this and be like, oh, well, that's just somebody passing away. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But back then, bro, that must have been like earth-shattering, bro.
Networks refused to air the clip of his last moments, but somehow it leaked. In 2009, someone posted the video on YouTube, but it was taken down after public backlash. Ironically, Tommy Cooper built his whole career on making mistakes look funny. So when he needed someone to save his life, everyone thought he was just joking. This next TV moment was supposed to inspire kids, but it left them horrified.
We still got one more?
The NASA tragedy.
Oh.
Launching a rocket is always dangerous, but in 1986, NASA was so sure everything would go perfectly, they told the whole country to tune in. But they were about to see something devastating. Millions of Americans watched the launch live. Kids were told they were about to see history. NASA launched astronauts into space many times before, but this was different. For the first time ever, they were sending a teacher to space. Her name was Krista. She was a high school teacher from New Hampshire.
Imagine your high school teacher in space.
I'm going to actually be going into that shuttle.
She didn't just get lucky, she earned it.
Nearly 12,000 teachers from all across the country had applied to NASA. Only 114 of them, less than 1%, were selected to continue in the competition.
Damn!
Krista was going to be the first American civilian in space, so NASA turned her launch into a huge national event. She did interviews, posed for cameras, and answered tons of questions. But the big question was whether she felt safe.
Space flight today really seems safe. We had a good example of that when NASA shut down the last one through the computer because one of the backup systems wasn't working.
Everything was ready to go, but the night before launch, the weather suddenly changed. Temperatures around the launch site dropped below freezing. That made some engineers really worried. They warned that the cold could damage parts of the shuttle, specifically the rocket boosters. And if that
And let me guess, the higher up said, fuck what you think, fuck everybody's safety, bro. We trying to get money. Obviously, that's what's gonna happen. It happens all the time, bro. Higher ups do not care about safety of others.
Happened, it would be catastrophic. The engineers advised NASA to delay the launch, but NASA hesitated. There was too much hype. Millions were preparing to watch it live, and the launch had already been delayed 4 times. First, it was because of a scheduling issue, then a dust storm, then bad weather, then a technical problem with the door latch. Canceling again would be embarrassing. Inside NASA, it turned into a debate. Someone even accused the engineers of using inconclusive evidence to try and delay the launch. In the end, they decided to proceed with the launch. They would regret that choice for the rest of their lives. It was January 28th, 1986, launch day. That morning, 7 people boarded the shuttle. 6 astronauts, 1 teacher. The shuttle was called the Challenger.
Let's go down to the Kennedy Space Center and take a look at Challenger sitting on the pad.
At 11:38 a.m., the Challenger lifted off into a clear blue sky.
We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
Wow, they were really doing this in the 80s.
Perfect. The 73 seconds after takeoff, the shuttle turned into a ball of fire.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded. My director confirms that.
They stared at their screens in shock. There were no survivors. That night, the president addressed the country.
Today is a day for mourning and remembering.
The tragedy shook NASA to the core. It grounded every shuttle.
NASA has appointed a committee of top engineers and scientists to investigate the catastrophe.
To prevent this from happening again, NASA redesigned the rocket boosters and created a safety office. 7 people lost their lives while millions watched. That might be
on some bullshit, bro.
The most disturbing moment ever broadcast on TV. These stories are a reminder that life can
genuinely, y'all. Yo, this is a W-ass video, y'all. And if y'all, you know what I'm saying, like the video, make sure y'all press the subscribe button. I'm gonna see y'all later and like the video. Turn post notifications on. Peace. I gotta watch Welcome to Dairy.